Hi, I'm Preeti. Let us start this session with a quotation. Architecture is art we live in. As a civilization, we need buildings. They are a practical necessity. However, architecture makes civilization not only possible, but beautiful. No visit to any city is complete without viewing some of its most famous buildings. St. Paul's Cathedral in London is one of its most recognizable sights. Similarly, the Louvre Pyramid has become a landmark of the city of Paris. But architecture is not just about famous buildings. Moving south to India, you have cost-effective, energy-efficient housing architecture promoted by Laurie Baker and influenced by Mahatma Gandhi. So, no surprises here. This session focuses on the role of an architect. An architect is a licensed professional who organizes space. Architects design houses, office buildings, skyscrapers, landscapes, ships, and even entire cities. Architecture, thus, is a branch of engineering. So what are some of the branches of architectural engineering? We have acoustics and illumination, which deals with the sound and lighting systems of a building. Then there is construction engineering and management. The engineers of this field work on the design of a building. Another branch is fire protection and light safety engineering, focusing among other things on efficient fire suppression systems. As you can see, architecture is more than just the design of buildings. Let's continue by looking at some desirable qualities of an architect. From an educational point of view, you should be fond of and good in maths, physics, and computer science. Then there is your aesthetic sense. An architect I spoke to got really excited when discussing this point. In her words, two people can look at the same object and yet have very different observations. For example, what does this image remind you of? Some people may see a young, elegantly dressed lady, while some may see the image of an old, frail woman. However, an architect might be able to see both images and perhaps make a few additional observations. Imagination and creativity is thus the strength of a good architect. You also need to be good in sketching and drawing. Now this is a skill that needs to be honed over a period of time. Assuming that you fit the bill with respect to the above points, it would make sense to pursue a career as an architect. Generally, you have the following choices. A 5-year Bachelor of Architecture program intended for students with no previous architectural training. A 2-year Master of Architecture program for students with an undergraduate degree in architecture or a related area. 3 or 4-year Master of Architecture program offered to students with degrees in other disciplines. Once you have your degree, the next step is practicing your craft. Now, most of the world's architects require a state-issued license in order to practice. Now let us move into the future and imagine you as an architect. What are some of the joys of the craft? The first thing most architects I spoke to mention is the joy of creation. Your product is not going to be put in a room or a gallery, but there in the open for all to see. This point can also make an architect quite jittery. Is the building I have created going to stick out like a sore thumb? Or will it give joy and pleasure? Will it add to our culture? These are some questions always on an architect's mind. The field of architecture is dynamic. New materials that are cost-effective and more resistant to natural disasters are introduced periodically. Then there are environmentally responsible initiatives such as green construction or sustainable building. An architect thus needs to be a lifelong learner in order to stay ahead in his or her profession. Now let us look at the other side of the coin. For a good architect, the client is always the prime consideration. However, at times, you may have a different opinion from your customer. Then there may be instances when you invest a considerable amount of time, effort and money to win a bid. If the bid fails, it can be a disheartening and costly affair. This field is linked to the condition of the economy. If the economy is not performing well, construction of new buildings is one of the first things that will be in less demand, along with architects. After completing their education, it is advised that students undergo 4 to 5 years of training at a reputed organization. This would, among other things, help the student understand client requirements and strike a right balance between theory and practicality. Furthermore, many employers prefer to hire entry-level architects who have internship experience. Having this experience significantly reduces the time and cost an employer needs in getting a candidate up to the desired level of proficiency. Architects can find jobs in government organizations such as the Public Works Department, the Archaeological Department, Ministry of Defense, town and country planning organizations, housing and urban development corporations, etc. They are also employed in private architectural firms, teaching institutions, and real estate development firms. Architects working independently have good growth opportunities. With some years of experience behind them, architects can set up their own business. So this brings us to the end of this session. The idea was to provide you a flavor of the role. Good luck.